This was a very cool episode that focused mainly on the struggle between science and faith, and man, we met a really kooky character as well.
Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, Episode 3, City of Heresy.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters and state alchemists of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, and this here is James. And we're here to bring you another review on the awesome and action-packed, thrilling, and a little bit cult-filled tale of
Fullmetal Alchemist.
There you go. You gotta wait for your cue. Jeez, I tell you. Brotherhood. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. I was so busy correcting him, I forgot myself. So, the last episode, of course, was very flashback-heavy and gave us the backdrop of the Elric brothers, what happened to them, how they lost their mother, and then, of course, in the process of trying to bring her back, doing, what do they call it? Human transmutation?
Yeah, human transmutation.
Human transmutation is how basically they're all messed up. That's why Edward is missing a leg, part of a leg and an arm, and Alphonse is unfortunately just a soul in a suit of armor. So, but anyway, that's how the episode, of course, left off with them. This episode I thought was very cool, but it reminded me very much of anybody who ever has seen the TV show Lost, and I know you have. Locke and Jack, two of the main characters. Jack was very much the man of science, and Locke was very much the man of faith. And it was basically the science and religion, you know what I mean, and kind of how the struggle between those two, between what you can prove and what you just kind of believe in, you know. And that's really what this episode was for me. We were introduced to a character, Father
Carnellow.
Father Carnellow. And this guy there, when we first see him, he's doing what appears to be like magic tricks, conjuring things out of thin air. But what we've learned so far in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is that there's the kind of, what is that, the rule of equality or equal?
Equivalent exchange.
Equivalent exchange. So basically, you kind of like have to give to get something. You can take something and turn it into something else, but it has to be the same size and mass and whatnot. You can't just take, something that's this size and turn it into, like, something the size of a Volkswagen, right? So, but this guy's kind of changing and conjuring things out of midair, and then Edward goes and spies a ring on his finger with a stone in it, and he thinks that, we find out as the episode progresses, he thinks it's because this guy possesses a Philosopher Stone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you have anything to add?
Well,
okay,
of course, the Philosopher's Stone, the one in this episode was fake, which we'll be talking about more later, if I said that wrong. But the Philosopher's Stone, basically you can conjure things out of midair, out of anything you want. Like Father Carnellow actually turned roses, which were organic, into an inorganic, like metal rose type thing.
They did
and,
mention that,
yeah, Ed was all like awed, and he's like, oh, that's impossible.
So basically, the Philosopher's Stone just pretty much negates some of the rules or laws of alchemy. Then, if I understand that correct, it pretty much takes you to the next level. You're able to go and you don't have to follow the same laws or rules that apply to everybody else.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. Because we wind up seeing, so Edward and Alphonse, basically, they want to go, and as the episode progresses, they want to go and have an audience with this father. They want to be able to go talk with him. And first they go to ask to see him, and they think they're being brought back by him, by his people or whatever, to see him, and then his people actually go and pull guns on them, and they're going to kill them, right?
Yeah.
And you find out that this is a little bit, people are drinking the Kool-Aid here, and it's not good, you know what I'm saying? So seriously, it's not good. They're drinking the Kool-Aid, and then, he's telling them, go kill people, go kill. You find out it's a very cult-like atmosphere, is what I mean. And we see this guy, and basically he just seems crazy and power-hungry. And then also what I liked is during the course of the episode, it kind of unfolds. You know that he's full of crap. He's full of shit.
Yeah, he can obviously tell.
You know that. But it's neat to see as things progress and unravel, like, the mind of this goofball, because then by the end of it, he goes and just flat out admits, like, yeah, I'm just trying to, because Edward asks him, he says, you have all the power in the world with this Philosopher's Stone to do whatever you want. Why are you doing this? Why are you using it to do cheap magic tricks to get more people? And I love how he says, he goes, I'm building an army, basically of, like, subservient, loyal followers that'll listen to whatever I want, and again, probably, go to war, kill, steal, whatever it is that he wants. And he's trying to build this cult, which is very much, it's exactly like what a cult is, so... All in all, though, I thought it was pretty cool. We find out, like you said, by the end of the episode, it stayed pretty self-contained. By the end of the episode, they kind of had cornered, and Edward and Alphonse had ingeniously went and basically recorded him admitting to him doing all this stuff, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Edward, winds up actually sort of fighting him, I guess you would say, but then the lipstick comes off the pig, and we find out that this Philosopher's Stone is not a Philosopher's Stone, that it was just... cheap magic tricks that he was using? Cheap conjuring
it was
tricks?
just a fake Philosopher's Stone, but the thing is he was pretty much yielding because Ed was like, give me the Philosopher's Stone, and like the Philosopher's Stone just fell off of his ring and kind of crumbled into ashes.
Cracked and crumbled. The other thing I like too, and we mentioned this back in the first one, but you see this running throughout the series now, and I like the humor. I like to smile when I'm watching things. There's some shows that it's hard to crack a smile because it's so downtrodden, depressing. Somebody's always dying. There's always something bad happening. I like shows where it gives you a little bit of a reason to smile every now and then, but not too over the top, And what I like about I like Edward and his Napoleon complex, as I like to call it. I love it how everybody, as they're introduced to him, are like, they think Alphonse, being in the suit of armor, is obviously the older brother. And I mean, even this little girl, and I love her mentality, wasn't in this episode when she says, well, no, she goes, he's bigger, you're smaller, so you're the younger brother. And he's like, no, I'm not. And he flips, every time.
Yeah, he tried to like beat the crap out of the little girl. Al had to pick him up.
Yeah. So I like the comedic moments in there. And apparently too is these Philosopher Stones, although not it wasn't like it was a one of a kind, even though this one was fake. They're very, very rare as far as I understand and what they've told us so far. So we presume that this Philosopher's Stone, at least as of right now, the Elric brothers believe they need to find one of these, and that's going to be the key to them actually being able to get their body back, or Alphonse getting his body back, and Edward becoming whole and not, not half cyborg or half metal or whatever. So I couldn't imagine having a metal arm like that. Imagine that in the middle of the winter and whatnot. You go like this, wipe your nose, because and all of a sudden your arm sticks to your face and you're walking around like this,
All right, how you doing?
That would be terrible. Or think about, and I know we're going a little bit off the rails here, but you're outside, you have to pee, right? And what do you do when you pee and you're a guy? I don't know what girls do, I'm not a girl, but when you're a guy, you pull out your thing there, right? What if you grab it with your right hand and it's cold? We have a problem there. We have a problem. Can you imagine how embarrassing it would be to go to the emergency room and they'd say, please, so what's the problem? And you'd say, well, my hand is stuck to my penis. Those are words you never want to have to utter ever in your entire life, I think. But
yeah,
that might be going off a little bit on a tangent there. But these are the type of things, the thoughts that kept me out of the really good schools.
Yeah.
So, all in all, though, what did you think? Did you like the episode?
I really like the episode so far. Really liking the show. It's got a pretty solid story.
And I like too because we saw at the end of the episode, which I forgot to mention too, we saw that this Father Carnellow, he was actually being controlled by, or kind of was like the puppet or the minion of that crazy woman that we saw in the first episode, at the end of the first one, and she's got like this sort of like weird like pet-like thing called gluttony.
Yeah, gluttony.
Right? And I'm assuming that's to refer to one of the 7 deadly sins or whatever. Basically, it's just this fat sloth shit thing. But anyway, she goes and winds up killing him for kind of failing in what he was doing, So obviously he was working for her. There's a bigger picture of play is what I mean, a bigger enemy, a bigger antagonist. Yeah. And she does something where she does reminded me like the liquid metal Terminator from Terminator 2, and all of a sudden her finger came out, get real long, and right through his head, And it was cool because the way they did it, they didn't, you can't show too much stuff because of censorship, but it was pretty neat the way they did it with the shadows and everything. So you knew that she just poked him right through his head from seeing that, but they didn't actually have to show it,
She must be pretty good at magic tricks though, like the scarf. She can like. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Okay, that would and then the gluttony thing, her pet or whatever, actually goes and then devours the guy.
Yeah, he like eats the guy.
Yeah, so and that's kind of how the episode ended off over there. So, episode question that I have really is, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I like to know what people's opinions are. Do you feel that you are a man or woman of science or faith? That would be,
that's gotta be a pretty hard one.
I just think it's a good question to ask, because a lot of people they believe in only what they can see, only what they've read in a book, only what can be proven. And then there's others that they believe blindly, and I've been there for both, been there and done that. So I'm not saying that there's a right or wrong on either side. But there's certainly, again, there's a big following for both, and very rarely do the two ever mix well. You don't ever see somebody who is rooted in a lot of backdrop of science and that sort of thing in history that also has an exorbitant amount of faith. Very much so, they clash oftentimes, science and faith. You know what I mean? So, and the funny part is that really one can't survive without the other, but they just don't get that yet. So for the most part,
I would try to be both for me, because I'm not like praise the Lord for this whatever he gave it to me. But I'm also not like, thank you for this meal made out of like these elements or something like that. So
yeah, I get where you're coming from with it, but a lot of it just is I just look at it as like science is people believe in what can be proven, and they do. Yeah. They can believe in what, I know that this X plus Y equals this. Whereas faith is more like, well, you know what, I don't know why this happens, but it did, and I'm just going to think it's good and continue to think it's good. So anyway, leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that we deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching you
in the next one.
Nation. Hey, you! Yeah, you! Thanks for watching.